Yeah, algae, by the way, is a food. Yes, it is in the oceans, the lakes, the rivers, and the streams, but it is a food in its own category, food. And we grow ours in triple filtered spring mountain water. I'm going to show you algae farms. There's a spirulina farm, and that's our chlorella farm. And so they're grown in triple filtered spring mountain water. So I want to mention that because there's so much toxicity in the
Mm.
ocean that you think, well, why should I don't want algae from the ocean. Well, I want to assure you that spirulina and chlorella are grown in fresh water. We're known for having the triple filtered spring mountain water, and we do other things that make sure that they're even more protected from other toxins. But whether you buy spirulina or chlorella at Target or Whole Foods, pretty much guaranteed that they're grown in fresh water. So number one, algae is a food, and spirulina and chlorella are grown as food crops. Now, they have completely different effects on the body. Spirulina, as you mentioned, is a blue-green algae, and we call ours ENERGYbits. And we actually package it in blue because it's a blue-green algae. We called it ENERGYbits because spirulina gives you energy in the moment and also at the cellular level. And I do want to get into some detail on the cellular level with the mitochondria, but just to give you some sort of quick notes, the energy comes from the high protein that's found in spirulina. It has the highest concentration of protein in the world. And all the protein's already in amino acid form, which means your body doesn't have to do anything to break down the protein to get access to the aminos. Here's a chart that shows animal protein all bound up. So it can take days for your body to break it down. And very often you only absorb about 10% of it as aminos. Then you have collagen powder, which are in clusters of aminos. And then you have algae, which is individual aminos. So because they're individual, it makes it easy for your body to absorb. And spirulina is actually a bacteria. It has no cellulose wall. So this makes it even easier for your body to absorb it. And because it's loaded with B vitamins, it converts the aminos into energy. So these are the little tablets that we sell. See the difference in color?
Hmm.
This is a blue-green algae. This is spirulina, and this is chlorella, which is a green algae. So as I said, spirulina has two pigments in it, a blue one called phycocyanin and also the green one, which is chlorophyll. But so that's how you get energy in the moment. And the kind of energy you get is not like a big burst and then a crash like you would get from a stimulant. A stimulant would be sugar or caffeine or chemicals. And the analogy I make for stimulants is it's like putting a paper on the fire. You get a big burst, but then you have a crash. Algae, because it's really stimulates your energy at the cellular level, is like putting a log on the fire. It's very steady. And in fact, you almost wouldn't notice it because it's not a stimulant. So if you're doing a workout or you'll notice that you have more energy or that you're not as fatigued or that your hunger is satisfied. But it's a very, very what I call quiet energy. So that's the main thing of spirulina, giving you energy and nourishment. By the way, it's ketogenic. So if you're on a keto diet, it's great. There's zero carbs. It does not interfere with your fast. If you are trying to lose weight, or if you are on Ozempic or one of the GLP-1s, you need to be taking this because when you're taking those drugs, you may be losing weight, but you're losing muscle mass. And that's a real big problem. And so because spirulina has the highest protein in the world, you can prevent that kind of loss. And you will never have cravings and you won't be tired and all that sort of good stuff. So that's spirulina in the moment giving you energy. But more importantly, because it has nutrients in it that aren't found in any other food, like superoxide dismutase, which is an antioxidant, or the blue pigment that makes it blue called phycocyanin. This heals your mitochondria and it gets into the mitochondria so that they can generate more cellular energy. And I explain to people that cellular energy It's like money. When you have more cellular energy, your body and your cells can do more things. They have more energy to fight a cold. Your neurotransmitters will move better. They will help eliminate toxins better. It's cellular energy is used for your heartbeat, your breathing, absolutely everything. So you want more cellular energy. The problem is, as you get older, you have fewer mitochondria, so therefore you have less cellular energy, or the ones that you have get damaged because of too many free radicals or toxins. So they're not performing very well either. So, and I do want to spend some time to explain the particular pathway that helps where the spirulina helps the mitochondria heal, because it's really fascinating, all science-based. And when you understand it, you'll really understand why and how you can reduce this inflammation, reduce these free radicals, and get back your cellular energy. So spirulina, very energizing in the moment and at the cellular level. So it's very healing to the cell wall. By the way, your brain has the most mitochondria in it. So we'll talk about that in a minute. And so when you heal the mitochondria, one of the first things you're healing is your brain. And there's so much recognition right now of brain health and depression. And so there's a great book that came out last year by Dr. Chris Palmer called Brain Energy, and he talks about how all brain health issues, including are caused by inflammation, which is caused by damaged mitochondria. Yep. So when I get to the opportunity to tell you why spirulina is helpful to regain your mitochondrial functionality and also repopulate your mitochondria, the first thing that it will help will be your brain. It will reduce the inflammation and help your brain function better. So that's the sort of the high level benefit of spirulina.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to talk about that pathway. My hypothesis is it has to do with the ability to boost superoxide dismutase, because you have your three major mitochondrial antioxidants: glutathione peroxidase or peroxide, glutathione peroxidase, I believe. And then you've got catalase, and you've got superoxide dismutase.
Yes.
And so that tends to be the rate limiting one.
Exactly. Well, catalase is actually in the cell, not in the mitochondria. But here's the cool thing. So spirulina is documented. We have lab tests to have the highest concentration of superoxide dismutase in the world. Chlorella has the highest glutathione in the world. Spirulina has second highest. So those are two very critical antioxidants that can get into the inner membrane of the mitochondria and reduce the inflammation that's going on. So do you want me to go through the pathway?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Because it's pretty cool. And we'll get to the chlorella in a minute. So I want to help people, give them a bit of a science lesson. So here's your cell. And inside the cell, you have your nucleus, and you have all these little peanut-shaped things that are the mitochondria. Now, remember, there's 2 million of these per cell in your brain. And then inside the mitochondria, this is where the ATP is produced. That's what cellular energy is. But what people don't realize is a byproduct of ATP is free radicals. And here's the problem, and most people don't know this either. Your mitochondria have their own DNA. There's only 37 of them, and you have 22,000 regular DNA, but the mitochondria DNA really control the regular DNA. They control cellular communication. But guess what? They're located exactly where the free radicals are released as part of the ATP production. So they're constantly getting damaged. And when they get damaged, that's when they can't produce cellular energy very well. And so I want you to understand how cellular energy is actually produced, what this whole process is. There's a series of molecules, because I didn't point out, but the mitochondria have two membranes. There's an outer membrane, like on all your cell walls, but it has an inner membrane that only exists in the mitochondria. And I can tell you why and how that is. So the way that the cellular energy is produced is there are molecules that are embedded in that inner membrane. And what they do, it's sort of like a relay race. If you've ever watched a relay race, there's a runner who has a baton and he passes it to the next runner who then runs with the baton, and hopefully they cross the finish line and win the race. Well, similar kind of concept, the way that ATP is produced. This is called the electron transport chain. But instead of runners, you have these molecules. And instead of a baton being passed from one molecule to the next, you have electrons. And when they pass the electrons from one to the next, the final stage is that production of ATP. And there are two helper molecules I'll point out. One is called cytochrome C, and the other one is CoQ10. And we'll talk about those in a minute. So that's how ATP cellular energy is produced. Now, in your mitochondria, when they're healthy, all of those molecules are located nearby each other. So it's like having the runners having a nice handoff of that baton. But as your mitochondria get damaged from free radicals, what happens is the mitochondria start to expand. Eventually, that explodes. It's called necrosis, and that spills out all the damaged free radicals into your neighboring cells. But anyways, when you have too much free radicals going on, and I'll tell you where they come from. They basically come from carbs or not having proper nutrition in your cells. When they become too far away, well, they can't pass the electrons very well. It's like asking Tom Brady to throw the football in a stadium that's 4 times the size of a regular stadium. So number one, when they can't pass the electrons efficiently like they would if they were healthy, you don't get as much ATP because the electrons aren't being passed along. So that's number one. You get decreased cellular energy when you have damaged mitochondria. Number two, those electrons don't disappear. They leak out into the rest of the mitochondria and become free radicals. This is why and how the process of free radical damage just escalates and escalates and escalates. So here's an example, a real picture. Here's a healthy mitochondria, and here's a damaged mitochondria. See all the empty spaces? The real photo. This is where mitochondria have not, all those molecules have been damaged, and so they can't pass the electrons along. And so they leak out, and that leakage causes inflammation. The inflammation are free radicals that have exceeded the capability of the mitochondria to contain them. And this is where inflammation comes. So the great thing is spirulina contains this antioxidant called superoxide dismutase. It's the highest concentration of superoxide dismutase in the world. And there are 25,000 studies in the PubMed and online medical libraries that prove that superoxide dismutase reduces inflammation, prevents Alzheimer's, prevents heart disease, all these great things that superoxide dismutase does. But the problem is it's not available in any food except spirulina algae and to a lesser extent in chlorella. The other interesting thing is that your body makes superoxide dismutase for you from the moment that you're born. However, by the age of 30, the production level decreases, and by the time you're 40 or 50, you have virtually zero superoxide dismutase. So the analogy I make for people is, Mother Nature's so smart, so clever, that she gave us superoxide dismutase because she knew there were going to be free radicals being produced in that ATP production. So superoxide dismutase was part of our composition. And think of it as a big umbrella, like a big golf umbrella. We've all seen those huge, big golf umbrellas, right? So all of our life up until the age of 30, we've had this umbrella protecting us from the rain of free radicals resulting from ATP. It's a byproduct, you can't avoid it. But once you hit 30, that umbrella got smaller. Now it's just a city umbrella. Then it got smaller by the time you're 40, and by the time you're 50, it's like a cocktail umbrella, and then none. So to me, this is one of the main explanations, I believe, why there's so much chronic illness and inflammation after the age of 40, because the critical antioxidant called superoxide dismutase is no longer being produced by our bodies, and it's not found in any other food. And the scientists don't know yet that it's in spirulina and chlorella because they do such research in very tight silos. Nobody's told them about superoxide dismutase being available in spirulina. But one catch, superoxide dismutase, it's an antioxidant, as I've explained, but it's also an enzyme. And enzymes are damaged by high heat. So if you are buying a lower priced algae that has been dried with high heat, and most of them are because they need to get to market quickly, that high heat kills the superoxide dismutase. It deactivates it. So you may be getting spirulina if you you might be getting still the protein and some other nutrients if you buy it from Target or a lower quality source, but you're not getting the inflammation protection of superoxide dismutase if it was dried with high heat, and almost all of them are. I will say you can also use raw or frozen spirulina because, of course, it has not been exposed to high heat. And there are two really great wellness institutes that I'm aware of, and we hope to work with them. One is the Hippocrates Institute, which is 50 years old, based in Palm Beach, and the other one is the Gershon Institute. They operate out of San Diego, but have a clinic in Mexico. And in both cases, they take patients who are in stage 3, stage 4 cancer, and to help them with a plant-based diet and massage and red light therapy and juicing and sprouts, but they always give them fresh spirulina. And I believe it's because, well, there's a couple of nutrients. I want to talk about another one, the blue pigment that kills cancer cells. It helps their cells start to regenerate more cellular energy because the superoxide dismutase is being able to protect the mitochondria again. And when you have more cellular energy, you can fight invaders, viruses, diseases with more power. It turns the lights back on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, real powerful stuff. And that was a great explanation there.